Now, also breaking tonight in a Hannity exclusive, the Vice President, Mike Pence, he is reacting to several major breaking news stories. Here's what the Vice President had to say about combating Russian election interference. Let's take a look. The Russians wanted to sow discord in the last election. Get your general thoughts on how to counter that, especially in the day and age where everything's digital, everything's on computers, and, you know, somebody can be sitting in an office anywhere in the world and be trying to interrupt what's going on in this country.
Well, what's clear now is that Russian individuals and elements, and maybe other countries, sought to, in your words, sow discord in this election, and particularly using the internet to do it. And it's one of the reasons why a variety of agencies in our administration are taking dramatic steps to see to it that that does not happen again. And we'll continue to support efforts to hold those individuals to the fullest account of the law.
Now, I also asked the Vice President about the growing FISA abuse scandal, and here's what he said on that issue. Andrew McCabe, former Deputy FBI Director, said no dossier, no application for a FISA warrant. So it played a big role. They didn't tell the court that, in fact, Hillary Clinton's campaign paid for it. And then they tried to corroborate it, but it was the same source adding a Yahoo News article. So it was deceptive towards the court. So the whole issue of FISA abuse is now front and center. Does that sound to you like FISA abuse to you? Does that sound like FISA abuse?
Well, we'll know when all the facts are out, and the American people have a right to know. But whatever the mechanism is for that, I think it's important that if there were actions taken that were inconsistent with the FISA courts or in other respects relative to the law, that they need to be addressed and they need to be fully vetted.
Now, we're going to have a lot more of our exclusive interview, the Vice President. That's coming up later tonight. But first, President Trump also this week, he eviscerated, absolutely eviscerated, and rightly so, the lying liberal mainstream media at a massive rally this weekend in Pennsylvania. The media, well, they've been trying to utterly destroy this president. But just like always, he's refusing to back down. Instead, he's firing back. This is vintage Donald Trump, a big media takedown. Take a look.
Washington, D.C., you got a lot of evil there, but we're getting it out step by step. A lot of evil, a lot of bad people, a lot of bad people, a lot of fake media. Look at them, a lot of fake media. It's 1999. I'm on Meet the Press, a show now headed by Sleepy Eyes Chuck Todd. He's a sleeping son of a bitch, I'll tell you. A certain anchor on CNN, fake as hell, CNN. And their ratings are lousy, by the way, and compared to Fox, their ratings... NBC is perhaps worse than CNN, I have to tell you. And MSNBC is horrible. Everybody in the room's laughing, everybody's having a great time. I'm joking about being president for life. A couple of them went back. Donald Trump, with his dictatorial attitude, now wants to be president for life. You know, straight. Fake news.
Fake news, lying news, propaganda news, misinformation news, it's all truth. Now, of course, the media, they're apoplectic. After being called out for their extreme bias, they started trashing President Trump. Now, there's a reason why you, the American people, do not trust the fake news media. You should not. They have an agenda. The agenda is clear. It's obvious. It's transparent. And the president is not going to let them get away with it any longer. In 2007, I said journalism is dead. It has been for years. And tonight we have even more proof. And look at this. In a recent column for The Guardian, former New York Times executive editor Jill Abramson makes this creepy admission that further exposes her liberal bias. The head of the New York Times writing, quote, "It's easy to look at what's happening in D.C. in despair. That's why I carry a little plastic Obama doll in my purse. I pull him out every now and then to remind myself that the United States had a progressive African-American president until very recently." Some people find this strange, you think? But you have to take comfort where you can find it in Donald Trump's America. Really? An Obama comfort doll? We got to get one of those over to Chris Matthews ASAP. He can get a lot of thrills up his leg. First, joining us now to react to our top story, House Intel Committee member, Utah Congressman Chris Stewart, former House Oversight Committee chair, Fox News contributor Jason Chaffetz. Congressman Stewart, I look at these revelations. It's spectacularly stunning. 14 months. and no evidence of collusion, no evidence of collusion, coordination, conspiracy between the Trump campaign and the Russians. None. Zero. Zip. Sir.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's been a long time. As you said, it's been 15 months. We interviewed something like 73 witnesses, looked at something like 310,000 documents. But, you know, this can't surprise anyone. I mean, it really just can't. How long have you been saying that? How long have I and others been saying that? For heaven's sakes, Dianne Feinstein said this. James Clapper said this. And I challenge Mr. Schiff, who seems to think that there's some secret evidence that he can't reveal. Two things on that. One is, does anyone in the world believe that if there was evidence of collusion, that it would not have been leaked? Under the circumstances that we've seen? Of course it would. You would already know about it. And the second thing, this is such an important point, Sean. We've been accusing people of conspiracy and treason. And at the end of the day, these people are innocent. Aren't these others who oppose what the Republicans have said on this, aren't they willing to come forward and just say, you know what, maybe we got this wrong. It's not fair to these individuals to keep this cloud over them when there just isn't evidence to support that.
And Congressman Chaffetz, I'll read again. No evidence of collusion, coordination, conspiracy between the Trump campaign and the Russians. And then it goes on how anti-Trump research made its way from Russian sources to the Clinton campaign, that would be the dossier, and problematic contacts between senior intelligence community officials and the media. In other words, they lied, they leaked, and they provided misinformation to the American media that ran with all of it.
Well, Adam Schiff has proved that he is a political hack at the highest levels. He's an embarrassment to the United States Congress. He's an embarrassment to the Intelligence Committee. And it's just shameful what he has done. The second part is the only thing that, that we actually have evidence of is that Hillary Clinton tried to rig the election against Bernie Sanders. And then she goes out and spends millions and millions of dollars working with the Russians to develop this fake dossier that makes its way, and it's treated as if it's the gospel, and it was not, and it was abused along the way.
And Congressman, the irony is, even in the last 2 weeks, all of a sudden Adam Schiff changed his tune. He knows he's been lying for over 14 months. You know, how are we to deal with people that are willing to drag the country through the mud to advance their lie and their narrative?
Well, I think there's a couple points on this. One is, at the end of the day, the American people aren't stupid. And they can look at the evidence or the lack of evidence, and they can draw their own conclusion. And then when they hear others say, no, just trust me, there's evidence, we just can't share it with you, I think they begin to be suspicious of that, obviously, as a minimum. And they begin to, I think, reflect back on those individuals who do that. And once again, Sean, I think, look, in your monologue, there was so much to talk about. Oh, my heavens, we could spend hours on that. But the important point now is this. What did the FBI, what did the DOJ do? Were they acting ethically? Were they acting legally? And others along that line, as you said, this investigation has got some other very important points that we need to pursue. And I think we owe that to the American people to not just end here, but in a practical way and in a non-dramatic way and in a non-partisan way, continue with these other lines of questioning to tell them that as well.
I've got to run. We are going to break down this week on the show the anatomy of a 14, 18-month lie. Thank you both. You've been amazing. We have so much more. No evidence. Trump, Russia collusion. We'll have more on the breaking new information. Also, a dangerous situation in Austin, Texas, involving 3 separate bomb attacks. Sarah Carter on her brand new report about James Clapper. A lot coming up straight ahead. And Greg Jarrett.